Hi, folks, and welcome to Chatting with Tea and Coffee. I'm joined this evening by an amazing woman who I've been so lucky to know from the early days of her transition. I'd like to introduce you all to Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hey.
Emily, wow. I mean, where to start? I mean, it's been a pretty intense and amazing year for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a year last week that I transitioned at work. So
A year ago already.
20th of May. Yeah.
Wow, how time flies. And transition at work has been a huge deal as well for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, interesting time to do it as well in lockdown. So even though most of my colleagues are still working from home, I've been back at the office since May for all sorts of reasons. But yeah, it was. I mean, I left for lockdown as him, albeit I was out. I'd been out at work for probably 6 months by that point.
Oh, okay.
I had a really long project plan, really long Gantt chart. I mean, genuinely, a Gantt chart with my transition plotted out.
Seriously?
Well,
Oh, I would
that's
love
my
to
job.
see that.
That's what I do.
You're
Well,
more
it went
organised
it
than I
went
am.
completely to pot, and like every good project plan, it didn't survive the first milestone. But so I had a much longer plan. I hadn't actually planned to socially transition probably till I think originally it was late summer, early autumn of last year.
Yeah,
And then I got locked down, and my mental health took an absolute dive. And
yeah.
somebody at work rescued me, got me back to do, as well as my normal day job, running a 3D print farm. And I
Really print
decided,
farm.
yeah, I decided I couldn't go back as anyone but me. So
Bless your heart.
yeah.
And you know what? Hang on a minute. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We always talk about trans stuff on this. A 3D print farm. This sounds amazing. What's a 3D print farm?
So I've got 10 3D printers running. Not as much as we used to. So in the early days of the pandemic, when PPE was impossible to get, my business reached out and started making visors, face visors,
Oh, cool.
on the 3D printer, which could be constructed by anyone. You just use the acetate you used
Yeah.
to buy when you did sort of documents. You put the
Oh, like
covers on.
overhead projectors
Yeah.
and
So literally, they're designed so you can hole punch them with a 4-hole punch on the top of the acetate,
that's
and
genius.
that just clips onto the front of the visor. So we made lots of those, and then the UK government made an exciting decision that they wouldn't pass them for use in the NHS because when PLA gets to 55 degrees,
Yeah.
it starts to get a bit soft.
Right. Okay.
Now, we did make the point that at 55 degrees, probably the last worry you've got if your head's at 55 degrees is a bit of soft plastic.
I mean, yeah, 55 degrees Celsius indoors is going some, isn't it?
Yeah, so we've actually been able to provide them for Ghana, and we've just sent literally 2 weeks ago with my colleague and friend, we've just sent 300 of those off to the Caribbean where they've had issues with the volcanic eruption. So we've been able to send them. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's you know what? I think when I think of 3D printers, I think about making like stupid things like I don't know, like I want to make an Eiffel Tower and stuff like that.
I make quite a lot of those too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. What do you think the coolest thing you've made is? I mean, obviously the visors are amazing and they're actually helping people. But what's like the most fun
Well,
thing?
I have a bust of Marcus Aurelius I made on there.
Seriously,
It sits on my desk. Yeah, my favourite Roman emperor. But I've made all sorts. I mean, I in the early days of the pandemic, I also, for friends who were locked down with families,
yeah.
I made retro computers for them. So I 3D printed cases
Yeah.
and made them RetroPies. So basically giving them every single Sega game, every single Nintendo game on a card, and just plugged into the TV, and they could sit and play any SNES game, any Master System game.
You know what I'm going to ask next, don't you?
Yeah, I'll send you one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. I wouldn't even know what to do with it, to be honest. I'm terrible. You need to talk to the people at T&Coffee Dig. They're our new diverse and inclusive gaming network. They're the people that need to hear about this because they'd love that. They'd eat it up. But no, I mean, so you were in the office. What, you were in the office on your own for quite a while then?
No, I still pretty much am. I mean, we've got a big office. So I work in Corby in the East Midlands. But where we've set the 3D print farm, it's in basically a converted warehouse sort of annex building, which used to have about 350, 400 people in it, but I'm the only person in it.
Seriously?
Yeah, which during the winter was pretty spooky, sort of wandering about, and obviously all the lights go off.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And I had one of my team came in to work with me for a few months, but she's now working at home again
Okay.
for family reasons. But yeah, it's nice. I always knew I'd get my own office one day, so I've basically taken over a meeting room, which is full of ill-fitting shoes that I bought over the summer that I don't know what to do with. So they're all sitting in a box.
So like level with me. Have you basically taken this enormous warehouse and office and turned it into a wardrobe? Is that really what's happened?
It was pretty much a shoe showroom, but they're all Wish.com shoes, so you can imagine the quality is not the highest.
I don't know. I mean, I've had some very good photos of stuff delivered to me from Wish. Sorry, Wish. No, I shouldn't say them. They're brilliant. Wish is great. They should be talking to Wish actually and finding out what an awful rubbish is coming through. I ordered a case for one of my computers from Wish, and it turned up and it was a photograph of the case, which is, to be fair, exactly what it was in the picture. Buyer beware, right? But no, I mean, so I don't know if you've been. Do you think it's helped maybe sort of having that time and having that sort of space to yourself in the workplace, or would you have rather just sort of jump straight back into the hustle and bustle?
I'm missing having everyone around. I mean, there are people in the office, and I go up into the main office relatively regularly.
Yeah.
I do miss that. Like anyone else does, I miss the face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
The job I do, workshops are a big part of what I do, and they're really tough to do online. I mean, they're just, doesn't matter what the technology is.
No.
But I have to say, I had time to think back on, given it was the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
How I felt that first day. I mean, absolutely terrified, even though there were very few people in the office. I still had to report to security, and they won't mind me saying this, they're not the most cosmopolitan bunch.
Fair enough.
Although they've turned out to be absolutely lovely. One of them has got a trans parent, which I found out after a while. Yeah. And they've been nothing but respectful and kind, and actually just treating me like a senior female manager in our business.
Yeah. And too right as well. I mean, we're sitting here sort of praising that, but being realistic, that's the right way to behave, isn't it? It's a shame more people don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be controversial, but you still, that's one of the things about transition. I think you always think the worst. But certainly I do. And that walk, I parked at the front of our building, and I had a sort of walk across to the back entrance to go and get my new ID card.
Yeah. And
I can remember that my legs were absolutely jelly walking across. Really? Yeah.
It's probably those Wish heels, though, to be fair. I mean, that's...
No, I had a nice, I can remember exactly what I wore. I dressed very badly for the occasion because, sadly, looking out the window now, it's freezing cold and raining and horrible.
It's rough today, isn't it? Yeah.
This day last year, or that day last year, it was so hot, and I bought a pair of fake leather jeans from Long Tall Sally, which I'd never had a chance to wear out. And I thought, well, they'll be good for my first day. They're quite conservative, I'm not going high femme on the first day, even though that's pretty much me.
Nobody's got time for that anyway,
I don't really wear trousers or jeans. But I realised within about 10 minutes that I had chosen exactly the wrong clothing for a hot day. And I can just remember at the end of the day sort of peeling the trousers off and lying there.
No.
Yeah, I just think that was a really, really stupid thing to do.
We've all done it, right? I mean, wardrobe disasters. We could start a whole channel just on wardrobe disasters, I'm pretty sure. In fact, we'll probably tap you up at some point. You can head up that project with us. Yeah, it'd be quite good fun, and especially if you're this good at project planning.
Trini and Susanna of T&Coffee.
There you go. Yeah, we could. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know if I could live up to that hype. I have literally zero style. I've got to be honest. Look, I'm wearing a vest and some jeans. I wear just whatever is at the top of the clothing pile in the morning. Quite frankly, I'm terrible for it. You're looking at through, so because I follow you obviously on your LinkedIn profile is pretty amazing, and we've known each other for a while as well, haven't we? And it looks like work have not just been sort of supportive day to day, but it looks like they've potentially opened up quite a few opportunities for you to get involved with some other stuff as well. So you've done quite a lot of work around mental health, haven't you?
Yeah, so yeah, that's a big thing for me, and I'm quite open about my story. So I've suffered with grim mental health for quite some time. Some of it I think related to being closeted and all of the nonsense that comes from having to hide
Yeah.
a massive part of who you are. And obviously content warning here, but I've had 2 unsuccessful suicide attempts.
Yeah.
Most recently in 2019, just literally just before I came. That was the catalyst for me coming out for the final time. This is not my first rodeo at coming out.
No.
And so it's really important to me to talk openly about not only how it feels when you're closeted and before you come out, because I think about the other people who are thinking all the same thoughts I had. Could I do this? Will I be accepted? Will I lose everything? Will I ever be happy as myself?
All of those unanswerable questions, really.
I kind of want to talk about that because, I spent so long wrestling with it, but also to talk about what happens afterwards, because whilst, coming out, it takes away a massive burden. It's a massive weight off your shoulders. Or what was it? I can't remember what Endeavour said. It's something about a cloud off his chest.
Yeah, that's it. Cloud off his chest.
I did take a weight off my shoulders, but it's not easy. And the gamut of emotions you go through, and not least doing puberty again at 44. There's a good reason most people get away with puberty when they're not paying a mortgage and going to work and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it's really important to talk about it, because the worst thing you can feel is alone.
Yeah.
That is the worst sensation for anyone, I think, is to feel like they're going through something alone. And the community I've made on Twitter initially, through T&Coffee, and I'm one of the very lucky ones who's actually been to an in-person one before the world collapsed.
Of course. Well, I'm practically a founding member, right?
Well, yeah, not quite, but yes, nearly. I came down with Lizzie to Camberley. But feeling alone is the worst possible thing, and certainly when you're closeted, I think you feel absolutely alone. Even if you're surrounded by friends, by family, you're still alone. And when you come out, even though you build a new community, and absolutely I've done that, you can still feel alone. And I think
totally,
talking about that is really essential. So my work gave me some opportunities to talk about coming out and talk about what it's like to be trans at work. And I had some opportunities to actually correct a problem when I was quite badly misgendered on a call.
Right.
So I was able to do a session with the organisation that was providing that training. And talk to them about the voice. My voice is a massive point of dysphoria for me.
Just don't even get me started on voices. We'll come on to this.
I know, but for me it is. It's in my head.
Yeah.
So I was able to do a session on the trans voice for a multinational group of trainers. Raised just over £2,000 for mermaids on that one, which I was very pleased with, and they
too right as well.
Very kindly sent me a pin badge, so I'm very proud to wear that every day.
They're amazing people, and anything we can do.
They are amazing people. So I've had those opportunities. I've talked at an international mental health conference last November.
I saw that
about transgender mental health at work, with a great panel of people, including one of my best friends, Preston, who I work with, who's a trans guy in my team. So we are Team Trans. Two thirds of my company's team are trans.
I love it.
Yeah, with my friend Vicky, who's out in Singapore, who's the third part of Team Trans.
Have you got badges or anything like that?
Well, I think we're going to have superhero costumes. That's my plan. Spandex.
That way.
Yeah, maybe baggy spandex for me.
Yeah, probably not like leather jeans in the summer. No,
I've learned my lesson. So lots and lots of good opportunities, and I'm a committee member for our LGBT plus group. I've just joined the committee of the women's group at work, and I did a panel last week where I talked about my reflections on being a woman at work and what's changed. With a cisgender woman, and we were able to talk about the things that are absolutely in common for us in the workplace.
I suppose that's quite a unique perspective, isn't it? Sometimes people forget that as trans women, we've got a fairly unique perspective. And you're saying about what happens with your mental health after you come out. I mean, I personally, I remember, and I don't know if you can relate or shed any light on this, but I sort of remember this sudden feeling of realizing, wait a minute, I've gone from being part of a frankly very privileged community, really, as being perceived as male, being perceived as, heterosexual, and indeed, being white, quite frankly, to all of a sudden finding that so much of that privilege has it's just disappeared overnight.
Well, you're handing the golden ticket back in. I think so. I wrote a companion piece, and I'll probably shill that with this video. I might share it with everyone. But I wrote a companion piece, a short article about my observations of coming out and being seen as a woman at work.
Yeah.
And it is empiric evidence, because that is the only thing that changed. The only thing that changed was my gender presentation.
Yeah.
So I've not had when I talk to cisgender women, they sort of say, they'll either say, well, yeah, of course, that's how it is, or yeah, I've never thought of that. But for me, because it's happened in quick time, I've noticed my opinion becoming less valid sometimes. I've noticed that I need a man to talk on my behalf sometimes, which doesn't sit well, because not because it's me, but because I'm a feminist, and because that's not how these things should be.
Yeah.
And one of the best pieces of advice I was given after I first came out, and I was bemoaning exactly that hang on a minute, I used to be the first one to be called, I'm now the last.
Yeah.
Was a very good friend at work who said to me, you've got to learn the diagonals now. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you've been used to being able to take a straight line. Now I'm huge. You've met me.
You're not huge.
I'm 6'7". That is huge. I have a pretty commanding presence, and have done, and I've worked on that over years. That's all gone now. I mean, I'm still 6'7", but my ability to do a straight line, and I've lost some of it with the lockdown as well, because you lose the ability to use your body language in a room. And she said, you've got to zigzag. You're seen now. People see you as the woman you are. You have to learn to zigzag. You have to learn the diagonals. And it was the best advice I've heard, because otherwise you can burn yourself up thinking, why is this so difficult?
Yeah.
And it's absolutely my mission to stop women having to zigzag.
Yeah.
Because no woman should have to zigzag. But knowing that those are the current rules of the game, that's useful.
Yeah.
But rules are there to be changed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's really interesting to hear you say that as well, because I mean, I guess in some respects there's almost like this bittersweet element to it that I quite remember, because I remember the first time, for instance, that people started mansplaining things to me. I was, at the side of the road with a flat tire that had a gaping hole in it, a hole like this. And, really helpful things that men say to women, such as, have you tried putting some air in it? And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I'll blow through the big hole in the side, mate. But all the time I was sitting there thinking, who is this person? Why they treat me like this? At the same time, there was that sort of almost sweetness to that acceptance that they weren't seeing a guy that was having trouble, they were seeing a woman and deciding they wanted to help.
There's a lot of bad male behaviors that I think for trans people, and I felt this, and despised myself for it straight away, that are very validating. So the first time somebody called me love, that was incredibly validating, but I was also like, I'm not your love, thank you very much.
Right, exactly.
How dare you? The first time I sensed that somebody might be checking me out, it was the horrible, smelly, disgusting pizza delivery guy. But again, there was a validation.
You might be able to get free pizza though,
Well, no such luck. So there are these little things where you do feel a sense of validation, and you're right. So there's little things where you have the work-based microaggressions, the misogyny, frankly. There is that instinct to feel, well, at least they see me as who I am. But then, frankly, the anger takes over, and misogyny makes me incredibly angry, like any sort of bigotry or lack of equality. And so I'm pretty much cured of that now. So any of those things, there's no validation anymore. I am who I am. That's obvious to anyone to see, and I'm not ashamed to be trans. But I am a woman. As I said in my session last week, I'm a white woman, I'm a tall woman, I'm a fat woman, I'm a trans woman. Those are all just prefixes to who I am.
Just adjectives at the end of the day, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah, for the record, I would like to say I am totally over the sort of the nicety of it as well now. Literally the other day I was at B&Q, I was loading some bags of stones into the car, and this guy stopped and he's like, "Do you need a hand with those, love?" And I'm like, "No, I know what I'm doing. Thank you very much. They're just stones. I'm strong." As it happens, I then pulled a muscle lifting one of these bags of stones, but he didn't know that. He didn't know I was weak and feeble. That's just me. But no, yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, they are. I think the word you use, and this word that's being used a lot at the moment, is microaggressions. It's those little things that people say and do that they might not necessarily constitute a full-blown assault there and then, but over time that does build up into an attitude, doesn't it? And it shows.
And they're not. And then it's not people going out of their way to be assholes. Sorry to use that word, but
no, you're right.
It really is not. They're not going out of the way. They're just used to it. They're conditioned to it. That is their world. And I look back and think, was I like that?
Mm.
And I wasn't, because I've always been a woman. I've always been a trans woman, albeit nobody knew until 2019. So it was very conscious for me. But for somebody who's a cisgender guy, I wouldn't allege that they're going out of their way to be horrible.
No.
They just do it because that's how it is.
Yeah.
And it's time to change how it is. And that'll make it easier for them too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I tell you the one thing that I do that I always sort of catch myself out, so I don't really know how to feel about it. Maybe you could shed some light on this, right? I am a serial door holder opener. Is that a word? Probably not. But every time I always hold the door open for people. It did take me a few months to get used to not saying sort of ladies first, if I'm honest with you. I know, don't. I'm sorry. It was some time ago. Give me a break, okay? It's been a hectic 5 years. But the reality is that I do it. I hold the door open for everybody still. And I've actually been called out for doing it before now as well.
Well, so do I. And there's part of me that just says, actually, that's just polite. And it doesn't matter who's doing it. It's, I do it anyway. It's interesting. So the colleague who was with me for a while at the office, who's actually more than a colleague, it's not fair, she's a very good friend. She told me off. She said, "You don't have to hold the door open for me." And I said, "But I've gone through it and you're right behind me. So what's the option? Exactly. Is to let it slam on you?" Yeah. I said, "It's not like I'm rushing ahead of you to open the door and throwing my cape on the ground, so you don't get wet feet."
No.
But I think there are definitely things you kind of unlearn, and some of those things, they're kind of nice because in some ways the woman was the recipient of the kindness.
Yeah.
But I can't very well say I want equality and I want
you can't have it both.
I want equity there if then I'm insisting on receiving the kindnesses but not providing them in return. So I don't tend to worry about that sort of stuff now.
No, it's don't get me wrong. I don't.
Too much else to worry about, like laddering your tights the minute you get in the door in the morning. Not that I'm just bemoaning today's horror story. I caught my tights on the way in this morning, so thank God I've got that place to myself.
Honestly, I don't remember the last time I wore tights. I really don't.
Well, I wish I wasn't wearing tights, but it's like February and May, so
I know. I can't believe it. It's terrible. And poor Jason, don't you? Poor Jason. He's been out on his bike in this weather, out on his motorbike in this weather. He's not particularly pleased. It's not.
I hope he's got some goggles and he comes back with a black face and the white rimmed eyes.
I wish. No, he's actually got a really cool helmet. It's a bit like going out with a fighter pilot. He does the little thing where he flicks the sort of sun visor bit down.
If I do get round, I'm going to confiscate it. I'm going to swap it for a shot out of a cannon style helmet with a pair of goggles.
I was thinking about trying to get him one of the sort of Captain America style ones. I thought he'd love that. But no, I mean, right. Anyway, no, sorry. We've strayed from topic and I'm probably going to get in trouble for talking about that. So, but truth is that, anybody that hasn't been following you probably hasn't seen the amount of incredible work you've done. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't I sign your deed poll when you changed your name?
You did. I have a bracelet with all my dates on it. Which I've got an engraved ring for major things in my transition.
That's awesome.
And it was, I will tell you now, it was the 21st of February 2020.
Oh my God, was it?
And that was the first day I took HRT, and you signed my deed poll that evening.
Was as well. Yeah, that was awesome, wasn't it? I think we went shopping, didn't we?
We went shopping. We had Starbucks mermaid cookies,
Did.
and then we had a beer, and then we. Oh yeah, we're not supposed to have beer. We weren't on a tea and coffee.
We weren't on a tea and coffee mission that day. No, it wasn't. No, it was fine.
But yeah, we went and we had a lovely evening. And Lizzie was there. Lizzie Butterfly signed my deed poll with you.
Yes.
So I know where you live because I've got your address on my deed poll forevermore.
And, you know, I am acutely aware of that. And I hope that helping you come on this show and do this is enough to sort of stop that blackmail from causing a problem in the near future. But no, all joking aside, I mean, you know, especially when you say it like that, and it was basically February last year that you changed your name, and to see what you've done and how it's really, really difficult to express, and unless you know somebody sort of, you know, I think we know each other fairly well, don't we? But it's really, really difficult to express how immensely, I think proud is the word I am of just the way you've conducted yourself right the way through. You've just been a genuine inspiration to so many people, and the work that you're doing is really, really helping, especially the work around mental health. It is really genuinely valuable work. So thank you for everything you're doing. It means a lot to a lot of people.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I say it doesn't feel like it's a lot. I think, you know, just to touch back on the mental health thing, there is a bit of a habit in certainly corporate life, but I think more broadly to give the platitudes. It's okay not to be okay. Those sort of things. They're absolutely true. It's okay not to be okay, but I really do believe in following that up and actually, you know, checking in on people and making the personal connection.
Yeah.
You know, I reflected on this last week. There's some things going on social media. I'm as prone to anyone else to these sort of things.
And I know.
But that for trans people, I think abandonment is a big thing, and the loss sometimes, and if not that, the fear of loss, and anything I can do just to talk about that. It's, you know, it makes me feel, I'll be honest, it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Because it feels like I'm trying to do something. And if somebody else feels better from it, then that's lovely.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really lovely thing to hear as well. And I know it's true. It isn't just a platitude what you're saying. I know that to be true.
And in fact, the best thing that's happened, I think, if I can just be honest, the best thing is at work, since I've come out, I've had the parents of 3 separate trans kids, so 3 sets of parents come to me and talk to me about their kids who are transitioning and or expressing that they would like to transition, and ask, you know, firstly saying that me being out helps. And I think the best advocacy we can do and our best activism is visibility. It's just living our lives, doing our thing, and getting rightfully angry. Anger is a very, very productive emotion if you can temper it. But to have those parents talk to me and allow me to share something of my story, so that, you know, they're doing something I didn't have and I couldn't have when I was younger. And I knew who I was when I was young. I came out when I was 11 and got slammed back in the closet by a psychologist. You know, these are parents who are heroes. I mean, to me, they're heroes.
Oh.
To see their kids and just to know they want their kids to be happy, and that doesn't matter if they're trans, it doesn't matter if they're gay, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, you know, any of those things, pansexual. You know, today's the day for pansexual awareness.
It is, yes.
But, you know, to have that level of love, and for those parents then to reach out to me and talk to me, I feel very honoured, you know, to be part of that. And, you know, there's this terrible trope that we're trying to trans the world. And I really don't want cis kids to become trans.
No.
It is actually really tough sometimes, and it's hard, and it can be painful, quite literally, you know, having laser and all the rest of it, you know, before even you get down the surgical route.
Yeah.
But if your kids are trans, I don't want them to be cis, because that hurts.
I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. You can't be, can you? I mean, at the end of the day, you can't turn a cis person trans.
No, you can't.
So, you know, it's
Exactly.
just and you know what, you're saying that those parents are heroes. To be honest, you've hit the nail on the head. There are a few things that are more powerful and more important than having people like you, visible role models who are out there. So to be honest, yeah, they're heroes. They are heroes. It's brilliant. They're looking out for their kids. But you know what? You're a proper hero too, because
Well, back at you, Sammy.
whatever. I mean, like, honestly, I'm just a sociopath that's managed to get a webcam. So, you know, but no, honestly, Ems, it's been really, really cool having you chat with us. Thank you so much. Have you got anything that you want to share with anybody, links or anything like that, where we can find you on socials?
Yeah, I've got. I'm on the usual places. Twitter's my usual grounds.
Yeah.
I've got a crowdfunder which I will share. I'll be shameless and share my crowdfunder for surgery.
Nothing shameless about it. It's a horror. Well, the only thing there's shame there that really that anybody has to do it is a disgusting shame. And you know, I'm happy to help you get that shared out. So what
and
we'll
I'm on LinkedIn as well professionally.
There you go. And we'll make sure that everybody's got the links. We'll drop in the video below. So honestly, thank you so much. It's lovely. Nothing else. It's just lovely to catch up with you. I haven't seen you for so long. I have to have a proper catch up soon. But there you have it, folks. That's Emily. She's doing incredible, incredible work and got some amazing points to share with you. So please do check out. We'll put the links at the bottom of the video below. Please do check out the rest of our channels as well, the other videos that we've got up there. Other than that, thank you so much, Emily. And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from you.
Bye.
Bye.